So one of the reasons I enjoy anyway, the questions and answers and some of the interviews is to get a little bit of feedback. And from the questions last night, I did hear that I haven't really talked too much about the formal ways of meditating. The sweeping meditation, walking meditation, metta meditation, or the breath meditation. And sometimes you think, well, what are we actually doing here? Is this a meditation retreat or what is it? And the reason I do that is because, yes, you can start to watch your breathing, but you may find, like many people find, if you start your meditation practice and start watching the breath, number one, the breath is not very comfortable, and it's unnatural. And sometimes you think, why? I'm not doing any exercise sitting down here, but why is it when you watch your breath, it's never as comfortable and smooth as when you're not watching it? And a little example which I often give is, now can you all be aware of the saliva in your throat and mouth? Now it's uncomfortable. Should I swallow, not swallow? Before, when you weren't paying attention to it, it just did its thing quite naturally. And it wasn't a problem. Don't worry, in a few seconds you will not pay attention to it and it will do its thing naturally without you interfering. Because when we actually put attention on things and are mindful of things, so often we interfere with it, we disturb it. It's just the way of our mind. Whatever it watches, it wants to control. That should be over here. Well, not that way, this way. Or maybe this way. That's that little adjusting. I know best, maybe I can make it better. Improvement, development mind, which tends to interfere with things. So when I started doing meditation on the breath, sometimes I couldn't watch the breath for very long. And then what did you think? More force. Sit there, come on, watch the breath, no matter what. And after a while you got very tense, and it wasn't pleasant at all. And so sometimes you thought, what's happening there, what's going on? And of course the answer is, whatever you do in life, preparation is really important, it's essential. If you are, say, cooking or helping with the food preparation, you've got to wash your hands first of all. You've got to make sure the bench is nice and clear. And that preparation makes everything much easier. Buildings, you've got to make sure it's a very strong foundation. And then you can have a nice building. Otherwise you end up with a leaning tower of Jhana growth or whatever. So preparation is so important. And later on, when we come to the Anapanasati Sutta, which is in that Word of the Buddha class, the Sutta class in the afternoons, you will see there that there is a preparation which is important. You go to a nice quiet place. Yes, you can meditate in noisy places if you're skilled in meditation. But when you start meditating, you want to have everything as comfortable as possible, the least possible distractions. Yes, when Ajahn Brahm said it's not the sound disturbs you, it's you who disturb the sound, that's fine if you really got some, as they say, runs on the board, miles on the clock as a meditator. But when you first start meditating, then sometimes it can be very distracting. So we start in a very comfortable place. And you sit on a comfortable chair or safu or chair. And those of you, so what type of chair or cushion should you sit on? And anything which is comfortable. And many of you a few days ago saw my panda cushion in my cave. Surprisingly, you all saw that, didn't you? Surprisingly, that's really comfortable. Not for the panda, but for me. The poor panda squashed, flattened. So you make it comfortable. And then the first thing you do is establish mindfulness as a priority. Now this is another thing which, when we get to those translations, you will notice. The usual translation is in front of you. In front of what? You? Where do you exist? Because as you probably know from the Asian culture, that people existed here first of all. And so in front of you would be here. And then later on, that's when the brain became more important, as we thought more and felt less. Interesting, isn't it? When we were here, this was the center of us, we would feel more, we would be more emotionally sensitive, we wouldn't think so much. But as the brain took over more importance than the heart, then we were up here, not down here anymore. And so people think, in front of me, I'm here somewhere in my brain, so it must be here somewhere. And that's where people sort of put the attention just on their nose. And if you put your attention on the nose, especially without the preparation, you have to hold your attention there, then again you get tense. And you get tension headaches. What the first time when I went to Malaysia to give some talks on meditation, so many people came up to complain about samadhi headaches. And I just was blown away. I never heard that before. For me, you do meditation to let go of headaches, not to make them. And I said, what are these people doing? And because, I didn't sort of know what they were doing, I had to ask a few people. Then it soon became quite apparent. And to show you what was happening, I take off my glasses, I meditate on my nose with my eyelids open, and this is what you do when you start to focus on the tip of your nose. Even though my mind is trying to focus on the tip of my nose, my eyeballs go there too. And if I carry on like this for half an hour, I will have one hell of a headache up here. Eye strain. You don't realize you're doing that. Got your eyes closed, no one can see it. But what you think about, that's what you look at. And it's just almost automatic. Not everybody, but a large number of people do that, which is why they get samadhi headache. And it was also the case, I had very good fortune in my life that I suffered from hay fever. How can that be fortunate? What it was that part of the year my nose was blocked up. So when I tried to watch the breath at the tip of my nose, there was nothing there. No breath going in, no breath going out, it just was blocked up, with nasal stuff. So what should I do? And then I heard that the other technique, to watch your belly go up and down, up and down, up and down. That was working fine until I became a monk. And when I became a monk, and I started watching my belly go up and down about maybe 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, then it was so close to my stomach, which was empty. Oh, I'm hungry. I want something to eat, because the mindfulness didn't stay on the belly, it stayed inside the tummy, the stomach. Oh, I want something to eat. So that just made more craving. But great teachers, listen to what the Buddha said. The Buddha never said actually watch the breath at the tip of the nose. He didn't say watch the nose or the belly, he said watch the breathing. And establish mindfulness as a priority first of all. In front is actually not what it means. It means first, the first thing you should do, priority. Priority is a very good word which actually matches what the Pali says, because it means it's the top of the list, the first. Priority means in front. So when you establish mindfulness as a priority before you even watch the breath, then you find that when you have that preparation, the breath is very easy to watch. It's soft, comfortable, and it doesn't go anywhere. Now, for those of you who've read my books, what does it mean establishing mindfulness? First of all, before you even go watch the breathing, is present moment awareness and silence. Because if you're off in the future, if you're wondering about the past, you're not here. You're not mindful. You're not present. Another meaning of mindfulness. And you see that quite often. People are just wondering about what they're going to do next this afternoon. They're not here, they just bump into things, they fall over, they step on the little millipedes, because they're not paying any attention. They're off in the future somewhere, or they're worrying about their thoughts, or in their fantasy world. They're not here, not listening, not being, not feeling. So present moment awareness is one of the first stages of anapanasati. After you've got yourself comfortable, quiet place, come into this present moment. If you don't make that preparation, what happens is you start watching the breath, maybe 2 or 3 breaths if you're lucky, and then you're off wondering about what time lunch is, or what Ajahn Brahm said earlier, or that person who banged the door today. You're not here anymore. You wander back because you haven't dealt with this mind which likes to go off into the past and the future. You deal with that first of all. You calm that down. Center yourself. Present moment awareness. So you see, a lot of the talks I've given so far are just trying to get into the present moment. One of the problems is when you try to develop present moment awareness, and actually it's not really a development, it's a letting go of the opposites. You let go of the past, you let go of the future. The present moment is your default state. That's a natural state when everything else disappears. So it's not something you go and do, it's you let go of the opposites, past and future. When you first come into a present moment awareness, a lot of time it is a little uncomfortable, the present moment, because it's a little bit uncomfortable at first. That is a reason why people just go off somewhere else, because it's more interesting and satisfying. Being here, I'm tired, I'm full, I'm just aching, it's too hot, it's too cold. But if I go off into my fantasy world, or think about the past, and I'll think about the future, what I'm going to do when I get back to Singapore, and how I'm going to sort out this person, or just what's the first food you're going to get when you get to Singapore. It's fun to do that, isn't it? Because sometimes the present moment awareness at first is competing with your future and past. The future and past, you've got some choice. You can perceive it, choose nice memories or bad memories, but the present moment is just here. You've got no choice, it's here. So at first, the present moment is not that satisfying. So we use this wisdom, this letting go. We'll just stay here for a while. Don't need to go off into the past or the future. It's alluring, tempting, but I'm going to stay here. And the thing with the present moment, the longer you stay there, the more pleasant it becomes. It's strange at first. The simile, which it's hard to find similes for these things, but the only simile I've ever come up with is you're on a journey, you've been working very hard, tired, and you find somewhere to sit down, any place to sit down, just to take a break. And the only place you see is a very cold, hard, lumpy stone bench. But at least you can sit down on it. When you first sit down on it, it's cold, hard, and very lumpy. But the longer you sit down on it, the more soft and comfortable it becomes. You warm it up. And after a while, it feels good. Just like the present moment. At first, the only place you can really stop and rest But at first it doesn't feel so good, but you stay there a little while and it starts to feel pleasant. You relax into it, and the mind notices the joy of the present moment. Now you get someone like an Eckhart Tolle, he made a lot of money out of that, without noting that that was plagiarism from the Buddha. But we don't mind sharing the teachings as long as they work. And with the present moment, it does become very delightful. It's a sense of freedom. All that future and past is just such a burden, such a worry. And it doesn't matter how many times you think of the past, you can never change it, you can never solve it, you can never settle it at all. We always think, bring up the past, learn from it. You don't learn from it. You just suffer from it. Instead, we learn from the present. Not from the past, from the present. And as for the future, this is what I often say when I give guided meditations. This is where your future is made, right now, this moment. This present moment is the only time you can do anything for your future. So if you go thinking about your future, you are spoiling it. You're neglecting the place where you can do something about your future right now. So if you want to be peaceful and happy, say, I'm going to be peaceful and happy. After this talk, I'm going to go find a nice place and sit down. You're missing it. Right now is where peace is made. Health, happiness, right now. So the present moment, it becomes really important. And you get used to this and you value it. It's a great place to stay. Even though, say, you've got problems, something you've got to find a solution for, don't go off into the past. The solution you'll find in the present moment. Not in thinking of the future or going through all of your records of the past and trying to find something there to solve the problems of the present. It doesn't work. So problems of the present are solved in the present, right now. So after a while, you really get into this present moment awareness. To help you go into the present moment awareness, people say, well, what should I watch in the present moment awareness? And when I first heard that, I thought just how little people understand what the present moment is. They don't know what it is, they don't know what to watch. So we give all these skillful means about how or what to do in order you don't do anything. It's weird, isn't it? I've got to teach people how to not do things. Should be the most simple thing of all. Just stop doing things. Just stop. Don't do anything. Yeah, but how to do that? You don't do it. You just... So anyway, yeah, that's fun. It sounds very obvious, but, it's impossible. So we have all these little skillful means. And one of those skillful means, which you can use in so many areas of your meditative life, or your work life, or when you're sick, or whatever happens, sometimes the simple stories can be the deepest. People sometimes miss this. They think, oh, that's just a joke. That's got no deep meaning. And it has incredible meaning. And one of those stories is one of the key stories of the first book, Opening the Door of Your Heart, was the Emperor's Three Questions. You probably all know that. And you read it to your kids, and you think that's got nothing to do with meditation. My goodness, it's got everything to do with meditation. Story in brief, Emperor just had it up to here with religion, always fighting each other, arguing. Which is the best religion? Which is the best part of the religion? Which is the best part of the best part of the best part of the religion? Who's the best teacher? I follow this monk. No, you should follow one nun. I don't follow nobody. It gets such a lot of arguments. So he decided to find his own religion. And he decided all he needed was the answer to 3 questions, and those 3 questions became the Emperor's 3 Questions. It came from Leo Tolstoy. I read that as I was a student, a group of short stories. So, when is the most important time? The easy one, now. It's the only time you have. What's the most important thing to do? I'm changing the order around here. What's the most important thing to do? And it's to care. And the story behind that, doctor here in Perth, one of his patients died, and he was devastated. He was only just a junior, an intern or something, I forget what, but then the first year of actually taking some responsibility. And he was so devastated because he had to tell this young woman's husband that he had no wife anymore, and his 2 young children had no mother. And that was just an awful thing to have to do, because they didn't expect her to die, and it was a shock. Imagine that 2 people just got married, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, and now suddenly she was dead, and her husband just shocked, grief, just knowing, what the heck am I going to do now with these 2 young children? And he felt guilty. The trouble with guilt, you can tell a person, look, it's not your fault, but that doesn't really help, does it? You say you didn't do anything, it was not bad intention, but they still feel they could have done some more. So he came there, he wanted to resign. He wanted to find another job, he couldn't do that anymore. And fortunately, he came to the right place, and I said, look, you've misunderstood the purpose of being a doctor. The purpose of being a doctor is not to cure people, but to care for them. Just one change of letter, changing the U for an A. Not curing, caring. Because if you want to cure people, you're going to fail many times. You know that people actually die in hospital? They don't always come out on their own 2 feet. Sometimes they come out in a box. That's life. You can't always cure people, but you can always care for them. You can always do that. And if you make caring the priority, yes, some people will die, but they die having been cared for. And that changes the whole process. The relations, the person who's in the bed and then in the box, all the nurses, the doctors, they cared for this person. And it makes it a beautiful passing, as best it can be. Curing is always this aggression, this force. And you may have seen that people just in their last few hours of life, they look in your eyes, stay with me, don't go, stay with me. If I was dying, I'd say, shut up, get out of here. I'm dying. So you can see the problem there, just the intervention, because death is the ultimate mistake. But no, not in Buddhism, not in Dhamma. Caring is more important than curing. That's why I said last night, self-improvement. Let's try to cure you. Care for yourself. Don't cure it. Any sort of problems you have in your mind, in your emotions, in your life, care for it. Don't cure it. And you find you care for things and they get better. You cure them and they usually get worse. And I'm talking not about diseases, your meditation. So, the most important thing to do is to care for whatever mind state you're in right now. So you're fast asleep. Care for it. Don't cure it. You care for your sleepiness. You care for your restlessness. You care for your laziness. Whatever it is, don't try and cure it, care for it. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But they say, what's the most important thing to do? Oh, that's the most important thing to do. Who is the most important person? That was the second of the Emperor's 3 questions. I'm moving that to the last. Who is the most important person? And that was the one which I just didn't get at first. But once you saw it, you said, wow, that changes so much. I always thought that, my teacher, a God or a Buddha, or my girlfriend or whatever, your boss was the most important person. And then later on, people say, no, you are the most important person. I am the most important person. Because, over in the Western culture, the culture of I, of me. And then both were totally wrong. The most important person was the one right in front of you, whoever that happened to be. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Because so often in my life, especially at that time, student, you go up to a professor after a lecture, you wanted to ask a question, and you asked a question, and the professor was not listening to you. You were just a small, insignificant student. They had better things to do. And that was really unpleasant. That might happen to you at home. You come home and you want to say something to your wife. Say later, darling. It means you're not important. You felt that, haven't you? I try my best as a teacher. No matter who you are, you come up and ask a stupid question which I've heard 1,000 times before. But no, I'm not going to throw you away. I listen. I try to give you importance as best I possibly can. That's connecting, that emotional engagement. You feel that Ajahn Brahm is actually listening to you, I hope. And that changes the whole ball game. If you want to be a counsellor, if you want to have a relationship, that's how you do it. Friends, on the committees, they're important. You don't try and get rid of things. So, and you care. You don't try and cure. So, what's that got to do with meditation? One right in front of you. Of course, some of the time you're by yourself. Actually, most of the time I'm by myself. When I'm by myself, who's the most important person there? Me. There's only one there. So I care for myself. And actually I do this. I got just in the habit of doing this. When I go to bed at night, I say, good night, me, have a good night. And when I wake up in the morning, good morning, me, and nice to see you again. Because I care for me. And what's that got to do with meditation? So people say, should I be watching the breath? Should I be doing loving kindness? Should I be sweeping the body? What's the most important meditation object? The one right in front of your mind right now. That is the most important meditation object in the world. An itch. That's the most important meditation object. Because it's right here, right now, in front of you. You have a vision of some stupid... I'd say this later on, nimittas. Not this year, but the year before, I had one of the most original nimittas in my mind. I know it was a nimitta because the colours were not of this world. There were yellows, but they're incredible yellows. But this light, this image which comes up into your mind when you get in deep meditation. But this particular nimitta was original because I recognized it straight away. It was an image, in incredible colour, of Garfield the cat. It was a Garfield nimitta. I've never known any meditator to get that other than me. But it was so ridiculous that I burst out laughing, and that was the end of my meditation. And it's absolutely, honestly true. In deep meditation, mind get very peaceful, lots of joy coming up, and this image, and it was Garfield the cat. I read too many comics. But anyway, I should have it was important. Just be with it, whatever it is. So give it importance, whatever you're experiencing right now. That helps you get in the present moment. Because when this moment is not important, something else is better. You're not giving this value, this moment. That is why you can't stay in the present moment. You go somewhere else. That's what happens when you are even in deep meditations. You're getting some stillness and peace and say, what's going to happen next? Stop it. Or you get some weird stuff happening. Because sometimes some of the things which happen at nimitta stage are weird. Falling in, rising up into the air, all sorts of weird stuff. It's important. It's happening now. It's the most important thing in the whole world. Whatever's in front of your mind in this moment. And what do? You care for it. Giving it importance, caring, open the door of your heart to this moment. That's present moment awareness. With the kindness. What I've often called kindfulness. Putting mindfulness and kindness together. So that's how you're in the present moment. So simple. You don't judge. Oh, I shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't be dull, after I've slept, the last 12 hours. I shouldn't be hungry when I've just stuffed myself this morning. All those shoulds, and say, no, whatever's in front of you right now, that is the most important thing in the world. That's called letting it be. And caring for it. When you care for it, then it actually develops. It actually changes. Angry eating monster. If it's tiredness, you just care for your tiredness. Poor you. Maybe you've been working too hard, too many jobs. Maybe you're going through, who knows, viruses and stuff which come in your body. Some of them you don't know they're there, and some of them they just do their stuff. You go to the doctors, they can't find anything, but it doesn't matter. You're here right now, you feel a bit tired. Be with that tiredness. It's important. It's teaching you something. Care for it. And you always find if you care for any object, then it sort of changes. It actually gets very peaceful. You go deeper in meditation. As for the other part of mindfulness, establishing mindfulness as a priority, the silent mind instead of the thinking mind. I always try and get lots of similes. One of those similes is the lake. The waves on the surface of the lake represent your thoughts. So, somehow or other, we've got to reach the point where the lake is smooth, with no ripples, certainly not waves, on the surface. So how do you do that? And you find it's just looking at the surface phenomena, the thoughts. You can't actually stop those thoughts that way. Okay, stop it, thought. That was another thought, and that's another one too. Like the old joke, the 4 monks meditating with a vow of silence, when one of them sneezed, and the first monk said, "Bless you." The other one said, "You've broken your vow of silence." And the third one said, "So have you." And the fourth one said, "I'm glad I'm the only one here who can keep quiet." Now, translate that to try to stop your thoughts. Come on, stop thinking. But that's a thought, and that's another thought. And it gets endless that way, because you're looking in the wrong place. So where do those waves come from? It's underneath, usually, the surface. Something is making it move. Or on the surface, the wind whipping up the waves. The wind of wanting. The lack of contentment. Not happy to be here. That is where the waves come from. So, I tried to do this for years. Please, don't do what I did. Of course you will, you have to, but nevertheless, you get the message sooner or later. I was watching my breath, and breath would wander away. So what did I do? Pulled it back again. It wandered somewhere else. Pulled it back again. Wandered somewhere else. Pulled it back again. And that was endless. So instead of just doing something, I stood back and investigated. Why? Why won't my mind stay with my breath? And soon I realized because my mind and me had a very bad relationship. I was controlling my mind. Just like, as I simile, if you have a maid and you don't treat her well or him well, of course they'll run away. They try and get away from you because they don't love you. Or like that person in Singapore. Once I told a story about a similar story over in Perth. This Singapore girl, she said when she was very young she had an argument with her mummy. "I don't love you anymore, mummy. I'm leaving home." And the mother was very smart and said, "Okay, darling, I'll help you pack." and gave the kid $20 for lunch. And so they waved the 5, 6-year-old off at the door, not the door, at the elevator, in the what was it called? The HDB blocks, yeah. Waved off at the elevator. Bye-bye, darling. Have a wonderful life. And the little kid managed to push the button. The doors closed. Mummy sort of waved her away. She let her kid go. Only 5, 6 years of age. What happened to the kid? He got to the ground floor. By that time, felt terribly homesick. Managed to actually somehow punch the button for the floor where she lived. And so the elevator went down, went straight back up again, and the mother hadn't moved. Welcome home, darling. That was emotional intelligence. That's what you do with your mind. Okay, mind, you want to wander off somewhere, some stupid fantasy. That's fine. Have a wonderful time, mind. If you're kind to your mind like that, it's amazing. Your mind doesn't want to leave you. Wants to hang out with you. Wants to chill out with its best friend, you. Of course, that's a metaphor, a simile. But that was very important for being able to stop all the thinking. All the thinking was just escapism. Escaping from what? Escaping from me. So then I said, okay, mind, you're fine. Whatever you want to do. Okay with me. I love you. I'll always be here for you. And my mind never wanted to go anywhere. Wanted to stay with me. And of course, the big story about that, I like sort of telling stories which actually work, but which is sometimes embarrassing. I got my 6th year as a monk. After 5 years, you're allowed freedom to wander wherever you wish to go in Thailand. For the rains retreat, you have to stay in one place. And so I found the perfect monastery for an English monk. In the mountains, so it was cool, not sort of hot. And in the middle of a tea plantation. I had as much tea as I ever wanted, fresh from the factory. And I thought this was heaven. There was a cave there. I love caves. And to this day, it's weird, the conditioning. I had such a lovely time for many months in that cave that it was full of bats. There's parts of the cave you didn't have the bats, but you go in and out, there's lots of the smell of bat shit. To this day, whenever I smell that smell, to me it's actually fragrant, because it brings back these wonderful memories of, my time in that cave. It's weird, isn't it? Just, why do some smells just, make you feel happy, and other smells make you feel repulsed? And I've got this weird smell of bat shit, which I love. Because it's association, that's all it is. It's association with the happy times in that cave. So anyway, there was one day, actually the first few weeks, nice meditation, but then it started to fall apart. I started to think. And not having a teacher with me at the time and forgetting all my instructions, I tried to stop the thinking. And it got worse. So I put more effort in. And it kept on thinking. And then it started to turn into really what I call unmonkish thoughts. Thoughts of my old girlfriends. Now I was only, 28, 29 at the time. So I thought, I wonder what she's doing now, if she's still... Stop it, Ajahn Brahm. If she's still available. No, stop it. Because I really wanted to be a monk. But these thoughts, they come in, as you know, uninvited. You don't want these thoughts, but they come in. And then sex, romance, and all sorts of stupid stuff. And every time I tried to stop it and watch my breath, they would come in even harder and faster. And it got to the point one afternoon, it was almost driving me crazy. I had no one to speak to. I had no helpline. There's no telephones up there. So I went to the hall. There's always a Buddha statue up there. Now, I was one of the least superstitious monks. But nevertheless, when you're desperate, you bow to the Buddha and say, help. But it was like an insight came up. Not the usual insight. It was a Westerner's insight. let's do a deal. And the deal was, I would watch my breath for most of the day, but from 3 to 4 p.m. every afternoon, that would be my sexy time, my romance time, my anything goes time. So I allowed myself from 3 to 4 p.m. I would not stop any thought, no matter how weird, stupid, disgusting, embarrassing. 3 to 4 p.m. anything goes. So that was the deal in front of the Buddha statue. So I had to keep those sorts of promises. Didn't work the way I expected. Still, all these thoughts kept on trying to invade my mind. I tried to watch the breath and they kept on busting through. And so by the time it came to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, I was exhausted, I was tired. As you are when you fight. And then I just laid against the back of laid my back against the wall of the hut, put my feet out, I was exhausted, said, okay, mind, you can now think anything you like. Anything goes. And honestly, this was such a weird experience. For the next 60 minutes, I watched every breath without missing one, effortlessly. No sexy thoughts came in, just breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Lovely, mindful. I thought, what the heck is going on? And I learned from that when you let go, when you are at peace with your mind's at peace with you. When you fight it, it just gives it bad energy. Later on, you read The Anger-Eating Monster and you realize that was a great example. Get out of here, you don't belong. I'm a monk, I want to be a monk, I shouldn't think like this. Get out of here. And it gets worse, you're feeding it. So, a thought was in my mind. It's the most important thing in the whole world, care for it. Open the door of my mind without any discrimination. And then your mind got very peaceful. That is how you stop the thinking mind. Another simile, if you have a guitar string, it could be a bass or a violin or whatever. But if you have a string and you stretch it and it's taut, very tight, very stressed, and if you pluck it, it makes a high-pitched sound. If you loosen the tensions, let go a little bit, then when something hits it, it makes not such a piercing, but like a low-pitched sound. If you loosen it even more, so that string is slack, there's no tension on it at all, anything can hit it, and it makes no sound. That guitar string is your mind. If you're so tight and tense, pulling this way and pulling that way, the slightest thing, someone coughs, you really hear it. Even if you start to relax, it's just a cough, you hear it, but it's only a cough. It doesn't sort of reverberate. But if you're really relaxed, no tension on you at all, you actually don't even hear it. Your mind doesn't ping, it's soft. So when something hits it, a sensory impingement, it doesn't reverberate. It doesn't think. So that's why if you are tense, doing something, having a goal, then you find you have lots of thoughts. Your mind is tight and tense. So that is why I also mentioned the first few days, relax, let go, make peace. Want to sleep, sleep, go for a walk, sit, have a cup of tea and watch the trees grow. Just take it easy. And if you do that, you find actually that is the preparation. And after a while, if you really are fed up and you want to do the breath meditation now, you can actually just, okay, I'm going to watch the breath go in, go out. It's much easier when you're relaxed. But even better than that, what I do, I never actually go looking for the breath. Relax in the present moment, whatever's here right now is good. I'm caring for my mind and my body. And then the breath just comes by itself. Because it is almost like part of the default state. I'm not doing anything else, nothing else is bothering me. It's the only thing which is moving in my body. Not thinking anymore. Body's nice and comfortable, relaxed. And so you breathe in, breathe out. It's obvious. It's just there. And it becomes the most important thing in the whole world. You care for it. Because you care for it, it stays with you. If you don't care for it, it goes. So in order to encourage this beautiful caring of the mind, because so many meditators are too forceful. You've been treated too harshly in Singapore. Forced, pushed, having to live up to so many things. That is why we have all these teddy bears around. And so the teddy bear on people's laps is what we call in meditation bear awareness. Which happens to be the title of my latest book, which has come out, Bear Awareness. Now this is stupid, we're supposed to be meditating. This is not a serious meditation place. This Ajahn Brahm, he's not really into enlightenment or getting into deep meditation. He's just this softly, just bears everywhere. That's juvenile. You try it. Bear awareness. You take one of the little teddy bears and you hold it in your lap. And you can't help but being kind. This beautiful, soft, cuddly little teddy bear. And you put it in your lap and your meditation improves enormously. It's very hard actually to be angry, aggressive, and fed up, and distressed, and depressed with a teddy bear in your lap. And you just cuddle it and just... and then, you're having it in the lap, you get so relaxed and peaceful, then you can watch the breath together with your teddy bear. And people who haven't done that before, please don't say this. They come up and say, Ajahn Brahm, it works. I know it works. So don't disturb me that way. Just come and tell me if it doesn't work. Throw the teddy bear at me. But this is where we put that kindness in, and then you can start watching the breath. Now, people ask about counting the breath. Yeah, you can count the breath if you wish, but that gets so sort of forceful. When you get to the Anapanasati Sutta, it's just to start the breath meditation, just to make it interesting, but giving the preparation of kindness, it works the very best. Now I did say a bit of sweeping meditation. With a sweeping meditation, that is especially when you first sit down to meditate. It's like caring for your body and also just being aware to make sure everything's okay before you let the body go. Just like if you're going on a journey, you check the car first of all. There's enough fuel or gas in the engine, there's enough water, everything is all tidy, because you just can't just get in the car and go. You might run out of petrol halfway. Imagine if the aircraft did that when you left here. We forgot to fill up with the air fuel. And they can't really sort of land in the middle of the desert in Australia to fill up. So, we learn how to look after our body. So, the way I teach this, and I teach it as a way of awareness and kindness, but which also has a very powerful effect on you. So you close your eyes, and I'm not going to do this now, you can do it for yourself. The guided meditations, which PJ kindly did yesterday, was it morning or afternoon, whatever. Look, one of the best ways of doing that, because some people like it, some people don't. You've all got your iPhones here. I've seen them. Download your favorite guided meditation app or talk. There's heaps of them online. I've got quite a few on there. Just, that my ones are no charge. So you can download your favourite one on your iPhone. Short, long, it's up to you. And then whenever you want to do a guided meditation, even here in this room, You put your earbuds in, and you close your eyes, sit comfortably, and it's like you've got your favourite teacher right next to you, speaking in the earphones. And it's a wonderful way to have the guided meditations. And that means everyone can do it their way when they want to. When you're feeling a guided meditation, it's there for you. And when you don't need one, you can just sit here by yourself. Even you're on your bed and you feel a bit, yucky, and so you're lying in your bed and you put the guided meditation on there. It really helps you. But with the sweeping meditation, closing your eyes, just relax as best you can. Start with your toes. Can you feel it? Don't even look at them right now. Don't look at them. Can you feel your toes? And at first I thought, this is stupid, but I've got no toe feeling. Unless I bang my toe, then I feel it. But you can actually, now just paying attention there, I can actually feel it. Feel my toes. And whatever sensation there is, you find it always changes. So I just ask my toes to relax. And they do. Just as an active choice, I can actually relax my own toes. Weird. But you practice on that. What you're doing is making a neural connection with that part of your body. When you've got the connection there, you've got the mindfulness, you can mess around with it. Because the mindfulness gives you feedback. You can find out what makes it more tense, what makes it less tense. I go to my feet. Ankles. Calves. The calves are very easy to watch because I don't know about your calves. There's always sort of tightness there. Well, not tightness, I suppose, but well, it's really difficult to give these things names. You don't need to give them a name. I can recognize that's calf feeling. And then you can relax it. Whenever, if I get a bit not tired, running about, and I lay down in bed at night, that's usually what keeps me away, the feeling in the calves. I don't know why, maybe it's just me. But then I just relax my calves. I learn how to do that, and then you go to sleep. There's some tightness there, which is, it's a feeling sometimes you don't notice, but when you got that feeling, it actually stops you from going to sleep. So I relax my calves, relax my thighs, relax my butt, and then I go up the body. And by the time I get to the waist area here, my mindfulness and the ability to relax, and of course it's kindness which does the relaxing, the letting it be. Open the door of my heart to this moment. You can feel everything relax. When I get to up here, this is really the vital part of your body, where all the essential organs are. And so as I go up here, sometimes you can feel there's a little bit of ache or pain there. And that's actually how I learned how to overcome the food poisoning. Or any other irritable bowel syndrome, you can actually look at your bowel and start to relax it. You can feel it relaxing. Sometimes you go up here, you don't know exactly what it is. Is it kidney or liver? It's a long time since I did any anatomy in biology class. Whatever it is, there's a feeling up there somewhere. So I focus on it and just relax it as I sweep up through the body. And I say it, as I said, women, a substantial portion of you, not everybody, will have some breast cancer. So you focus on that. If you feel there's an imbalance there, you learn how to relax things. And it'd be great if someone would do a survey on this to see how effective it is. But to me it feels this is incredibly effective. You can actually lessen everything, lessen all the problems, catch it so early with your own mindfulness. Your body keeps on telling you, but sometimes we're not paying any attention. When you really build up your mindfulness, you can feel your body, you can feel what it needs. And then you go up through your throat, through your head, everywhere, you can relax everything. And when you do relax like that, you feel so good, sweeping the meditation right up to your head. And the last place I always go into my brain. Because again, brains get very tired, thinking too much. So I go into, you're not supposed to be able to feel anything in your brain, but it doesn't really matter. I just imagine and just relax my old brain. 66 years of heavy thinking. It needs a bit of a break, so I relax the brain. And afterwards you feel really good. You feel at peace with your body. It's like going to a spa, I would say. So that's how you do a sweeping meditation. And take your time, doesn't matter how long, if you come to a place and you feel there's a problem there, there's a tightness, a tension, that's where you stop. Until you relax it totally away. Which is one of the reasons I don't like doing that, just a one-size-fits-all. I want to teach you how to do it yourself. And if you come to a point which really needs a lot of relaxing, a lot of TLC, stay there. Just like that was how I learnt and taught and had great success when people have, say, panic attacks. Because there is this girl, she's actually moved back to Perth now, see her every now and again. She was in Adelaide, a dental student, chronic anxiety panic attacks, bedridden. They didn't put her in a hospital, she was at her student accommodation with her boyfriend Lloyd. And he would do everything for her. Cook for her, clean for her, because she was actually in bed 24/7. And no psychologist, psychiatrist, doctor could actually help her. Until Ajahn Brahm runs to the rescue. Well, not really runs to the rescue, but was on the telephone. Her uncle was one of the strong supporters here. And so, healing, said distant healing. This was distant healing, but using a telephone. So I said to her, no, when you have a panic attack, where do you feel it? What part of your body? And he said, oh, it was in my chest. Exactly where? You're a science student. I want coordinates. Millimeters above your belly button to the left or the right, and how big that pain is, whether it's in a spot, whether it's round, circular, or ovular, or a square. I'll give you 3 days and call me back. I'm a busy monk. So 3 days later, she called me back. And number one, she had something to do. It's important when you do distant healing, curing therapy, you actually let people take charge of the process. So they're not dependent upon you. They find out for themselves. So it gave her something to do for 3 days. And she's amazing. She said, oh, it was so many millimeters above my belly button, a little bit to the left. It was a little like ovular, but the diameter, the long part was a little bit up here this way. She gave this incredible description of, the location of the pain. I said, when she had a panic attack, the feeling. And then I asked her, well, what does it feel like? Was I always tense? Not good enough. I want an essay on what the pain feels like. I didn't actually say that, but a full description. Called me back in 3 days. So she had another job to do. And so in 3 days' time, she described the tightness, the tension, and how it developed, did this way and that way, when she had a panic attack. And it's amazing, I was really impressed with her. What I was telling her to do without saying was learn how to be mindful. Really mindful of the location, feelings of the panic attacks. So right, the next job is the kindness. So I said, next time you have a panic attack, take your hand and just massage that area. Massage it. Not fully like one of those Thai massages, which hurt more than they cure, but sometimes actually they cure. But with as much kindness and love and tenderness as possible. It's compassion. And I said, if you can't do it, ask your boyfriend Lloyd to do it. I'm sure he would oblige. And give me a call in 3 days. 3 days later, she said, oh yeah, we did that. And I said, well, what happened to the tightness, the pain you felt there? And she said, oh, it vanished. The pain went away through the massage. And then the killer question, what happened to the anxiety? It was the eureka moment. She paused and said, the anxiety went too. The mental part disappeared with the physical manifestation. Great, now you know what to do. No need to call me back anymore. That's efficient. And it's brilliant. A couple of weeks later, I got from her uncle, she was out of bed, back to school, finished first class honours in dentistry. She did another course over in Sydney, and she married Lloyd in the sunken gardens at UWA with Ajahn Brahm in attendance. I gave the blessing there, and I was her monk. So, and it was true. I think I deserved that praise because, she was anxiety crippled, and now she had a life. Knew how to overcome anxiety disorder with mindfulness and kindness. So when you sweep the body, you can become so aware of what's happening. Add the kindness. It's incredible what you can do. So that's sweeping the body. That's getting the preparation for mindfulness of breathing. Present moment awareness. Whatever you're aware of right now is the most important thing in the whole world. The only thing to do is to care. Now, the only time you ever have. This is where your future is made. Things like that. Meditation is easy. You've got the preparation right. And if some problem arises in the meditation, that problem is here now. It's most important. Care for it. Don't get rid of it. Don't think something's wrong. It's not wrong. Cause and effect. It's here for a purpose. It's telling you something. Listen to it. Be with it. Care for it. That is the way of meditation. More to come tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Stretching is so nice. So many endomorphins coming to the body. Oh, yes.